Hi everyone, Connect 2012. So we are a youth volunteering group who are conducting a few volunteering projects from 2019 onwards. So our major projects were Phase 8 and Waves of Change. The Waves of Change was a beach cleanup, was held at Model Beach, and Phase 8 was a collaborative project with MOONSHOT Method in order to distribute thousands of face masks during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. The MOONSHOT 2021. So, this is our next project. And this time we will be aiming you who is doing ordinary level exams in 2021. So, our main aim is to build a positive mindset before your exams. Next, I would like to invite our friend, the presenter, Sajjad Ghafoor, to continue the program. Thank you and wish you all the best.
Hi guys, and welcome to the MOONSHOT Method. In this video, I aim to help you guys understand exactly how to prepare for your exam. Most specifically, the ordinary level exams that are looming in the horizon in December of this year 2021. If you are lucky, because of COVID, the state might postpone the exams and you might actually get to do this in 2022. And you guys will be the second luckiest batch in history. But don't bank on the exam being delayed. You never know, it might actually be held in December 2021. And that's just a few months ahead. So let's get right into it. This video is divided into 3 parts. Now, by the end of this video, you need to have an excellent idea as to how to prepare for your exam. As I said before, specifically the ordinary level exams, meaning the 9 subjects you will be sitting for, the 6 compulsory subjects and 3 additional group 1, 2 and 3 subjects that you yourselves have selected. But before that, number 2 is for you to know why you should prepare for this exam and any exam in general. And before we start, I'd like to tell you a story as to why you should listen to this. You're going to get an exclusive, behind the scenes, transparent look into my personal journey in dealing with these horrible exams, the O-levels, the A-levels, and specifically to me, a professional exam that I followed after my A-levels called CIMA. It's something to do with accountancy. Some of you might want to do this, some of you don't. But what you need to understand is that the O-levels, the A-levels, and any professional standard exam are all basically the same. They all have at least 20 to 25 years worth of past papers, and they are all based on one rigid syllabus that is generally updated every 5 years. Let me start with my O-level story. As you can see, I wasn't the worst student in the class, nor was I the first. The 40 that you see over there is one of the marks that I got for maths. The 50s and 60s are the marks that I got for science and my first language, which happened to be Sinhala language and literature. So I was never at the bottom of the class, nor at the top of the class. Many reasons. Mainly, I was involved in clubs and societies and extracurricular activities, which I'm sure many of you listening are involved in right now. Come my O-levels, my December, I managed to sit my 9 subjects, and my results, happily for me, were 8 A's and 1 B. My aim is to teach you what I did between the period of me getting only 40s, 50s and 60s and me getting 8 A's, and exactly why I might have got that B. That B was for a subject that I myself chose, ICT. Moving on, this is not relevant to you, but it's important for you to know. I do my A-levels. The subjects I chose were commerce because I liked them, business, econ and accounting. That 10 you see there is my accounting subject exam marks for the end of term exam in grade 12. That's right, I got only 10. Fortunately for me, there was a friend of mine who got only 9. So I wasn't the worst in the class. This was just 1 year away from my A-level exam. And within that year, I replicated what I did for my O-levels. And thankfully for me, I managed to come first in class and first in the batch. I also sit for my A-levels. I get my 3 A's. And I also get the highest result score in my batch of English medium students. The student that came first in the island was selected to the premier higher education facility in Sri Lanka, which is the Sri Jayawardhanapura University Management Faculty Accounting Department. Now I didn't come first in the island. I was never that good. As you can see, my district rank was just 121 and my island rank was 267. They are by no means something to be very proud of, but I too got into the same management faculty that the person who came first in the island got into. My point here is to tell you that if I can do it, you can do. My point here is to tell you that there is no such thing as a dumb student, someone who's not destined to get good marks, and there is no one called born intelligent, born naturally gifted, nothing like that. As you can see, both the before marks and the after marks belong to one same person. Now some of you might be getting really bad marks. I am here to tell you that if you were to follow certain steps, use your time wisely, have a positive mindset, you too can achieve just like I did, and guess what? You can do better. Remember, I never did the best. At the end of the day, I still got a B for my O-levels. At the end of the day, I didn't come first in the island or anywhere close to it. But if you use these principles, methods, tips and tricks that I have used, and I am willing to share them right now with you, I can pretty much guarantee that you will not be disappointed. We start with the aim, and the saying that gets this program its name is, aim for the moon, you'll at least hit a coconut tree. It's supposed to be funny because you're supposed to remember it. What I mean by this is, when you set out for your ordinary level journey, always note that the maximum best result you can get for any single one of these 9 subjects is 100 out of 100. So the first time that you sit this subject, your first shine, you get 100 out of 100 for maths, science, history, your first language, religion, your group 1, 2 and 3 subjects. Don't aim lower than this. This is all about the aim. Don't stress out, don't panic that you have to get all of these marks. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not trying to pressurize you too much. I'm only telling you to acknowledge and recognize that these 100 marks are up there for grabs, and the examiner technically has to give them to you if you answer all the questions correctly. Only if you aim this high will you be able to fall low to a 9 A's or even an island rank, or making sure that you don't do too bad at your ordinary level exams. Before we go on, I'd like to tell you a few reasons as to why you might want to consider the ordinary levels seriously, and to look at these subjects, to look at these exams, to look at the time that you're going to spend from now until your exam, until the end of your exam, as a specific, proper project. Exam results are really a trusted signal used by important decision makers to judge you. And they are important for two reasons. Number one is for higher levels of your education. You will realize that once you've done your ordinary levels, you are judged in certain instances by your results. If you want to do certain A-level subjects, your marks will come into play in your O-levels. If you want to get into a certain career, you will start to realize that the people who decide to give you to open the gates for you to get into that career will judge you by your exam results. That's just the way the world works. So knowing that, you can slowly start preparing for your O-level exams. But the most important thing that I really like you guys to understand is that exams and exam results are not the end of the world. There have been plenty of people who have failed miserably. I was lucky enough to fail before my O-levels, to fail before my A-levels. Some people, not so lucky, but they've managed to pick themselves up and do much well the next time, or do extremely well in a completely different field somewhere else. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to know yourself and be yourself. You need to look inwards. Don't look at your friend. Don't look at your elder brother or sister or cousin. Don't look at the people who are younger to you. Don't look at your teacher and try to be like them. Know yourself and then be that person. Number one is to understand whether you're good at maths or you're good at theory subjects. That's very simple. Are you a 1, 2, 3 numbers kind of person? Or are you an ABC, language, theory, linguistic type of person? The best way to gauge this is to look at your latest term test results. If you're getting 80s and 90s for maths, and you're getting 50s and 60s for your first language and history, that means maths is your natural strength. Now, if you're getting 75, 80, 85 for your first language and history, and you're getting only 40s, that's all you're getting for maths, your natural strength is in theory subjects. And that's fine. My personal story is that I'm quite okay in my first language subjects and my word language subjects. And I'm not very good in my math subjects. So the first thing is to understand this. Look at your previous marks. Number two is to never think of all your 9 subjects as a jumble, as one chaotic mess. Okay, I'm doing this subject, this subject. No. Also, don't think of your subjects in a horizontal line. I do maths, I do first language, I do religion, history, group 1. No. There is a priority in which you have to look at your languages in. Rule number 1. No subject is hard, difficult, or tough. Any subject that you are not scoring well in is a subject that you need to focus on. It's not a hard subject. It's a subject that you need to spend time on. You need to do work on. That you need to practice questions and answers on. The most important thing you need to remember over here is that you know what kind of student you are. You are more of a math student, or you are more of a theory student, a linguistic student. Regardless of what subjects you like or don't like, you have 9 subjects to face. And there's an opportunity for those 100 marks. So what you do is, you take the 3 subjects that you need to focus the most on and put them as priority 1 subjects. The 3 subjects that you're pretty comfortable with, that you're a natural in. For example, for me, it was the group 3 subjects. You put them as priority 3 subjects. And whatever subjects that you're not getting very low marks in, nor very high marks even. You put as the middle subjects, priority 2 subjects. At the end of the day, you should know what your priority 1 subjects are. For me, they were maths, science, and first language. What's yours? When you're going through this journey, remember that there will be a lot of obstacles. There were a lot of obstacles that I faced, and I'm pretty sure very specific and unique problems and obstacles and barriers that you'll also face. Whenever you come across all of these, flip your mind into thinking that these are hurdles that you're meant to jump over. Only that kind of thinking will help you keep steady for the journey ahead. Moving on, we get into study mode. There's another bit of a moonshot here. Aim for the moon, you'll at least hit a coconut tree. I want you to understand that you have 24 hours in any given day. I want you to understand that you have 7 days in any given week. So when you're planning your timetable and trying to manage your time from here until the 11th hour, until the last minute, until your exam, try to think in day cycles and week cycles. You can think in terms of months, but I have 2 reasons against it. One, a month tends to be a little too long. You only have a few more months left for your O-levels. Also, months are different. Some months have 30 days and some months have 31 days. Some months start on a Friday, some months start on a Sunday. It's not always the same. So once you realize that you have 24 hours in a day, remembering that a healthy student needs at least 8 hours of sleep a day, so you subtract 8 hours of sleep from the 24, you get 16 hours a day now. You keep 2 hours a day for your personal stuff. You now have 14 hours in a day. Let's say it's a school day. You have 7 hours for school. You now have 7 whole hours, all free time. And if you haven't clocked these up with tuition classes, you can utilize all 7 of these hours to prepare for your exams. If it's a weekend, there is no school either. So you have 14 hours each weekend. So you have way much more time than you ever thought you did. I want you to think of it like this. If you own a computer and you get up and leave, the computer automatically goes down to standby mode. And every time you come and hit the keypad, the computer springs back to life. If you look at a vehicle, a car, you get in and you switch on the engine, but you don't accelerate, you don't go anywhere. The car is on standby. Make sure that your brain is like such a computer or an engine. Always energetic, always healthy, and always prepared to soak in much needed knowledge, information, work, and practice to prepare best for your exam. I want to bust a myth here. A lot of people think that bright kids, kids that do extremely well at their exams, study throughout the night. Or they get up really early in the morning and study all the way until school time or the afternoon. No. I can safely say that I never studied before 8 a.m. nor did I ever study past 8 p.m. So I am a person that likes to study or prepare or really work during the day hours. And if I can do it, so can you. Some students though like to get up at 2 a.m. and study until school starts, and that's perfectly okay. But that's not the only recipe in preparing for your exam. Some people like to come back and start studying at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m. in the night and go throughout the night. As long as you're getting your scheduled 8 hours of sleep and are sound and healthy, I don't see a problem with that either. It's only when you realize that you have 24 hours in a day is that you can at least sit down and not that you'll have to always keep sitting down. You'll realize that I have 10 hours of study practice that I can spend. And trust me, I never studied for 10 hours straight. I never studied for 5 hours straight. That's a different story altogether. You start, you do a little bit of work, you get up, you take a rest, you come back again, you eat something, you drink something. And for all of that to happen, you need what is called a long stretch of uninterrupted time. And so that 10 hours, that 7 hours, that 5 hours is important for you to get at least a good 2-hour session of study. At least a good 2.5, 3-hour session of study. Because in reality, you can't do more than that in any given regular school day. You have a timetable now. Remember I said think in terms of days, 24-hour cycles, and think in terms of weeks, cycles of 7 days, Monday to Sunday. You now have this blank sheet of paper that you can plan ahead with. Remember your priority 1 subjects, the subjects that you need to focus on the most. These aren't hard subjects. These are subjects that maybe you need to really look at a bit more. You fill this timetable, you fill these 24 hours, you fill these 7 days. You make sure that your priority 1 subjects get the most attention in this timetable. For example, for me, I had to concentrate the most on math. Meaning, I actually set out at least 1 hour a day, all 7 days of the week, to work on and practice my maths questions. And then I would allocate time for science, maybe a little less time. And then I would allocate time for first language, a bit lesser time. I recommend that you allocate time for your priority 2 subjects also. The subjects that you're getting middle marks in for each week as well. Maybe, just maybe, your priority 3 subjects. Subjects that you're very comfortable with, that you're a natural in, you can touch once in 2 weeks. Maybe you can give that your judgment and create your timetable in such a way. Moving on, the next 2 slides are extremely important, and I hope that you can do what I did in a more structured and comprehensive way and successfully face your exams. How do you structure your life to prepare for your O-levels? I'm going to give you a comfort zone. Can you see? That's you over there. You're in a triangle. That's your comfort zone. You have just started your O-level journey. The exam is many months away. So you're chilled out. You're not in panic. There's not a lot of pressure. And that's a really wonderful period. But this period is very crucial. I need you to design a triangle for yourself. At the first corner of this triangle is your reference person. Who is a reference person? A reference person is somebody, anybody that has actually done the ordinary levels and passed them successfully. So you can start off with someone senior to you in your school or your family or even your neighborhood. Refer to this person because they are trustworthy. Ask them how they prepare, what classes they went to, whom they studied under, what textbooks they bought and from where. Quickly graduate to getting at least 1 trusted reference person for each one of your 9 subjects. It could be a school teacher for mathematics, or your tuition teacher for your first language, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Someone that you can trust, that if you ask them a question regarding this subject, they will help you get to the answer. That's number 1. Number 2 is reference material. Basically 4 things. any material that covers the entirety of your syllabus of each subject. You can start off by going to www.nie.lk and downloading the syllabus for each one of these subjects. You could even go as far as to downloading the teacher's guide for these subjects. You don't have to memorize any of these books. You can then go to a popular major bookstore, either in Gegoda or Peta, and purchase supplementary textbooks apart from the school-issued textbooks that you already have. And number 4, maybe most important, is the set of notes that you yourself write down, or you can photocopy from someone who has done this exam in this subject well and passed well. That's your reference material. From now until the last point where you can prepare for your exam, you're supposed to refer back to this material. The third and final closure of this triangle is the reference simulation. That's a big word. Don't get scared. The simulation here is all to do with questions and answers. Think of it as a flight simulator. You can download a flight simulator and pretend that you're a pilot right in front of your laptop. But you're not really one either. This refers to doing past paper questions and model exam standard questions and answers. So in your trip to these bookstores in Gegoda or Peta or wherever you live, make sure that you purchase, that you get or borrow from someone else at least 20 or 15 years worth of past papers for every single one of these subjects. Once you have these 3 corners set, make sure that from today until you finish your exam, you keep going to your reference person, your reference material, and your reference simulation. These 3 are your training wheels. You break out of this comfort zone during your actual exam, because guess what? You won't have a reference person. You won't have reference material. You won't have reference simulation. You won't have answers to see. In fact, if you bring any of these, you will be disqualified and they'll forbid you from sitting the exam for God knows how many long years. Once you've set this up, you know the secret of what to do. The secret has only 3 steps: KAM or CAM. Secret number 1, step number 1 is to know the basics. Step number 2 is to apply the basics. And step number 3 is to master the subject. Step number 1, know the basics. What does basics mean? In my view, basics means the smallest concept that the examiner can test you with and give you at least half a mark or 1 mark. For example, square root. We know, hopefully you know by now, that the square root is something that if you multiply this number by the same number, you get an answer. For example, if you ask me what the square root of 25 is, I'd say that the only number that you can multiply by itself and get to 25 is the square root of 25. So 5, you multiply by 5, you get 25. Meaning, the square root of 25 is 5. Basic is knowing that logic, is knowing that concept and theory. Not basic, and sadly a lot of people don't understand this. The not basic thing to do is to actually memorize every single square root. You're never going to pass your O-levels. You're never going to do well at all. You can't memorize 3 into 3 is 9, so the square root of 9 is 3. 4 into 4 is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. 5 into 5 is 25, so the square root of 5 is the square root of 25 is 5. You'll keep memorizing until you're a normal person. So the basic here is to understand the logic. So know what the basic is. How do you know? You go to your reference person. You go to your reference material. You go to your reference simulation, and you keep using these reference points to understand what the basics are of each subject. And remember, you have 9 whole subjects to do. Step 2, apply the basics. Why? Because the basics are tested differently. This is where we don't like our examiner. Because instead of just asking us, what is the square root of 25 every year in every exam paper, they switch it up a bit. In 2001, they might have asked you, okay, what's the square root of 16? And you can easily say, it's 4. But maybe in 2021, they'll say, a mother bought 25 apples and she gave her sons the square root of that apple, and each one of her sons has an equal number of apples. That's way different from straight asking you what's the square root of 25. So you need to know that the mother has 5 sons, and each one of these sons has 5 apples each. That's a very, very, very simple example I gave you. Imagine bigger concepts, bigger, more complicated basics in each subject, and you have to multiply that by 9 subjects. This is why you need your 24 hours. This is why you need your 7 days of the week. This is why you need your reference points. This is why you need to start right now and take things seriously. Step number 3 is to master the subject. This is a great time where you've known the basics, you've applied the basics, and you can now actually teach someone younger to you. You can actually teach someone in your grade or in your class with the extreme aim of one day when facing the O-level exam test and the examiner asks you a question, you can teach the examiner through your answer. There's no better way to get your 100 marks. You know what to do, you know how to do it. Now all you've got to do is start doing it. Use the method, use the comfort zone, use the reference person, the reference material, and the reference simulation. Follow the 3 steps gradually. Know the basics, apply the basics, and master the subjects. And keep doing these over and over again. There'll come a point, as you can see in the slide, the exam is in December. You're a few months before, but you're happy because you've exerted the maximum effort. Ahead of you, the crucial 3 or 4 months before the exam is what I'd like to call the autopilot phase. That's where reality kicks in. If you're an amateur and you have not been preparing for your exam, pressure starts to build up during these months. You will find your own classmates' behavior change. Suddenly they'll have worried looks. They come into class earlier. They try to take out a notebook and take down notes. They try to go and bypass papers. And you always see this worried, pressurized, or given up look on their faces. But not you. You've done the maximum you can. And this is my personal experience. During this autopilot phase, I just kept doing questions and answers over and over again. And I was very much at peace because I, to the best of my ability, had mastered the subjects and was kind of ready to face my exams. It was a very happy period, and the main reason I'm doing this for you is that I'd like for each and every single one of you to go through this experience of knowing exactly what to do, how to do it, and do it well and successfully pass this otherwise annoying and nuisance thing called the ordinary levels. I want you to remember a few things. Every time things get hard, start visualizing your results and always visualize the best results. Something that a friend of mine did was he visualized that a TV crew came to his house and interviewed him for being first in the island. And that, he tells me, is what gave him the motivation to get up and prepare for his O-levels and A-levels every single day, day in and day out. Never go to any extreme. When you're tired, take a break and then come to something. Or finish for the day and prepare for the next 24-hour cycle. Prepare for the next 7 days. Take breaks within the days, within the weeks, and within the months leading up for your O-levels. At the start, you will have no idea what to do. So start a subject, stop it, switch to a different subject. Start that subject and keep going until you have to switch to something else, until you get into a proper rhythm. Only then will you be able to make full use of your 24 hours and your 7 days. Once this happens, you'll get something called momentum. You will know exactly what momentum means. I don't have to tell you. Once you get this momentum, don't stop until the very last moment, because momentum matters. Always be humble and help others. Because just because someone else gets some marks, that doesn't mean that your marks will be subtracted and given to them. Because there is plenty of room on the moon and there are plenty of coconut trees here on earth. Compete with yourself, don't compete with others. Always hydrate and be healthy. Have fun. Take help. Because you'll realize once you're in your A-levels, once you're out of school, and once you're old like me, not many people come to help you. Everybody wants to help you when you're doing your O-levels. Take maximum use of that. Never, 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 never give up. I have 100% assurance that if you follow a structured method, if you keep a positive mindset, and you always look at the positive side of things, and always look at the silver linings in any cloud, you will be happy at the end of the day. Thank you and all the best.
Hope you were able to get a positive mindset before your exams. Keep the same positive momentum throughout your journey. And if there's a question, please mention in the comments. So our next project will be a water supply project for a school in rural area in particular district. Please keep in touch through our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So I would like to thank our facilitator, Mr. Chanaka Pereira, the presenter, Sajad Kapoor, and the Connect 2012 team. Thank you very much and wish you all the best for your exams and for your future.